Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out Litecoin's price chart, and we are actually going to do a complete Elliott Waves analysis starting from this low down here about $76. And the reason that I'm doing that in today's update is precisely because of this move on the upside, because I do think this has a lot of hidden message in it. But first things first, if you remember the last time that we talked about LTC, we were, I think, right around this area, and the idea was that most likely this is a slow move down in form of a correction, and we are going to have another move up. But if you want to consider the bullish count, this move up has to be quite strong and sharp, and as you can see, we definitely got a very good move. Let's just real quick measure it from this point to about the highs. As you can see, this is about a 20% pump, which is definitely not that bad. Now, is this the only optimistic sign? I don't really think so. Let's just go on H4 time frame. There we go. So here's a question. What is going on starting from here? And preferably, let's actually count Elliott Waves from this point, because I'm trying to show you actually the worst case scenario between all the bullish cases, so you don't really get your hopes up that much. And if you want to go according to the most pessimistic scenario between all the bullish ones, this is going to be a wave 1, correction for 2, another move up to about this point into wave 3, correction for 4, and yet another phase up into our wave 5. Followed by that, we are having a correction structure in here, and now I think that it is confirmed that we are having in this region, ABC into wave W, correction for wave X, and another ABC down into our wave Y, completing the subwaves for a WXY in form of a beautiful looking double zigzag. And overall, well, okay, you're actually having an insanely bullish setup in here. Why? Because you can say, look, in Litecoin, this is 5 up into 1. This is correction for wave 2. And what are we going to have next? Probably a very strong move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. And for instance, we can in this phase get to about the $200 plus region. I think those are actually quite likely targets. So overall, as you can see, we are looking optimistic. And here is one very, very important sign suggesting that this is indeed a correction, and this move up in Litecoin in the next 2-3 months most likely is going to continue. So let's go around here. You see, if you want to say that I'm wrong and right around this area we're gonna have our final top, then okay, you have to be able to find in here a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the downside. This specific structure is called an impulse. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between our wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, our wave 3 is simply not allowed to be the smallest wave. Pay attention to this rule. We are actually going to use this in our analysis. Now, instead of an impulse, sometimes we can have other forms of 5 waves, and for instance, you can have something called a leading diagonal in form of a wedge, and in it, this is going to be our initial move down into 1, and it has to be the biggest wave, correction for wave 2, another move down into wave 3, it must be a smaller than 1, correction for 4, pay attention, unlike an impulse in here, now we must have overlapping of the waves between our wave 2 and 4, and also wave 4 must be smaller than wave 2, and this is our final move down into wave 5, and it has to be the smallest wave. Now, we can also have another kind of 5 wave, and this is called an expanding leading diag, and it's basically the exact opposite of this thing, meaning in a wedge, wave 1 was actually the biggest wave. In an expanding leading diag though, wave 1 is the smallest wave. Correction for 2, another move down into wave 3. Unlike this thing, wave 3 in here has to be bigger than 1. Correction for 4. Unlike this wedge, wave 4 has to be bigger than wave 2, but we must still have overlapping of the waves, and this is our final move down into wave 5, and it has to be the biggest wave in this structure. Now, why am I explaining all this to you? Because in Litecoin, because of this specific move up, which in it with absolute authority, we took all the highs. Now, I do not believe that from the highest high to about the lowest low, we are able to find an impulse. Why is that? Let's go on a less busy chart, maybe from TradingView. There we go. So here's the situation. What is your best shot at finding a 5 wave? I think it's going to be if you say this is 1, 2, 3, correction for 4, another move down into wave 5. And in that case, you know what? Fair enough. Since we are having an overlapping of the waves between our wave 4 and 2, then okay, this is going to be either an expanding leading diag or maybe a leading diagonal in form of a wedge structure. And let's just measure the length of our wave 3 from this point to about the lows and compare it to the other waves. Is it bigger than wave 1? Absolutely not. So this means your options are only and only narrowed to one specific structure, and it is called a leading diagonal in form of a wedge, which in it wave 5 must be smaller than wave 3. But is it the case or not? One way or the other, the answer to that question is no. Meaning what? Yup, this is just not here nor there, and you are just simply not able to find a 5 wave. And in the interest of never saying never, let me just say this. Even if you are able to find one, the shape of it, I promise you, is going to look so odd to a degree that it's really not going to be anybody's primary case. Further confirming, look, this is a correction structure in LTC, and the current bounce that we are having most likely is going to be the beginning of a magnificent bullish setup. So this, my friends, is a very, very important reason to be optimistic in Litecoin in the short term. And let's go on 15-minute time frame and do a quick Elliott Waves analysis in here. So can we argue that we are having, excuse me, let's just take this one from here, like wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The answer is yes. You might be able to argue that. However, I'm not really a big fan of this thing. I do actually like to say that we are having in here probably a series of 1-2s, meaning this can be from this point, let's say, probably yes, a 1, 2. No, let's actually say from this point, excuse me, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into 1, correction for 2, another move up into wave 3, correction for 4, another move on the upside into wave 5, and on a higher degree, this probably is going to be into a wave 3. And right now, we might have a correction for 4, meaning what? Maybe soon in LTC, we are going to get a decent bounce into our wave 5 and take the highest high in here for the first target, about $125. But hopefully, we are not going to stop there. We're going to go like a bit higher than that. And then, if we end up getting like a week or two worth of consolidation pattern in here, do not worry, odds are that's just going to be part of the bullish process. For now, let's not consider those moves. Let's focus on the current phase that we are in, and I'm not really sure if you like classic patterns, but if you do, maybe you are able to say that this is a triangle structure, a beautiful one right in here. But pay attention to what I'm about to say. This triangle at the moment is not confirmed yet. When will it get confirmed though? When we get a break of the higher band of this triangle, do a pullback in here, and then get another move up in order to take this important high. If we do this, at that point, we're going to say, you know what, the triangle is confirmed. And who knows, maybe even in terms of Elliott Wave, since we are having a correction for our wave 4, this is going to be an A, B, C, D, E, something like that, sending the price higher and higher. And what's going to be a likely target for this thing? Okay, first things first, you have to put your chart on a regular scale and then measure the height of it from here to about the lows and put this thing at your breaking point. Let's say we're going to break it around this area. This is giving you in the short term about a $132 Litecoin, which is definitely not that bad. So in the short term, all eyes on this specific triangle structure and see what are we going to do with it. If we get a break of the higher band of the channel, at that point, count on this move to continue a little bit. And if you do not care about what is happening in this area, then okay, just know this. I think there is now a very, very high chance that we have hit our final low all the way down here about $120. And most likely, we are just building a bullish setup for a huge, huge move on the upside. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in LTC. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.